Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Broadway Jets YouTube channel. You'll know me from Twitter as NYJ Mike. I'm joined as always by the master of receipts, NYJ Matt. Matt, happy Super Bowl Sunday. One day we will get to experience one of these. Before people make fun of you for being a Jet fan on the Super Bowl, remember there are 11 franchises who have never won a Super Bowl. So the Jets have one. There will still be the LOL Jets comments. A couple days ago at the NFL Awards, there was an LOL Jets joke made by Snoop Dogg, and the camera panned to our old friend Sam Darnold, and Sam Darnold did not even break a smile. So this video is going to be about what if the Jets bring Sam Darnold back to New York, and what will take place over the next couple of years.
Happy Super Bowl Sunday, Mike. I'm playing hurt today. If I sound a little bit under the weather, playing a little bit
Very
hurt.
noble of you, Matt. Very impressive.
We are also over 2,000 subscribers. So if you are here and you like the content, don't forget to hit subscribe. Our last video, the Pictionary video, was very funny. I don't think it did that well analytically, but Sam Darnold. I wanted to make this video because in any other universe, if Sam Darnold was drafted by the Texans and his name was Dan Sarnold, he's probably the number one option for the Jets to get in 2025. And if Rodgers retires and or leaves and the team doesn't retain him, you now have a huge hole at quarterback and you have to go pull a trigger on someone. Now, why not get a guy who's a free agent who went 15-2 that led his team to the playoffs and was one a game away from winning the division? It would be Sam Darnold. But Mike, optically, even though I would love to do it, because we were both Sam Darnold defenders, I don't think the Jets are going to do it. And I don't think there's any world where they would. I don't think it's a feasible option. And if you've been a longtime listener of the show, Mike and I got killed in 2020. Killed to a point that you wouldn't even believe. Because all we said was we would run it back for one more year. If we had the first pick, we get taking Trevor Lawrence. We didn't get the Zach Wilson hype. We tried to be excited for him after we got him drafted, but we never believed in it. And it was probably like 80-20 at that time of people wanting to move off. And you look at my tweet about the LOL Jets Snoop Dogg joke, has like 5,000 likes, and every reply is like, bring him back. And I get it. You can change your opinion over time, but I'm just happy that we were on the right side of history there, where it sucked to move off him. And I understand why they did, to reset the cap, everything with him. But Mike, do you think there's a possibility that in week 1, 2025, Sam Darnold's running out of the tunnel in a New York Jet jersey?
It is funny because we always say we never toot our own horn about being right. And we've done it like 1,000 times now. We're like, we were on the right side of history.
Okay.
I think, listen, it's interesting, Matt, because you figure that it would be Sam Darnold who would not want to come back to New York, just for some of the pressure of playing here and, how it ended last time and the media and the blah, blah, blah. But to your point, it seems like the Jets, it would be silly for the Jets to not entertain the idea based on what Darnold did last year. 4,300 yards, 35 touchdowns, 66% completion. He finished 10th in the MVP. Like you said, the Lions, the Vikings won 14 games, and the last 2 games were tough. But you don't win 14 games in the NFL as a fluky, and the stats backed it up. So, and that was always our point. It was not because 2020, like you said, the Jets went 2-14, and Darnold had in 12 games he threw for 2,200 yards, 9 touchdowns, and 11 picks. So we weren't arguing we wanted that to continue. We were arguing that we saw something in him, before that would have worked, and eventually it ended up working. So is there a possibility, Matt? You would think there's a chance, right? The Jets, like you said, the Jets are going to be quarterback needy if Rodgers isn't here. And a Darnold timeline might time up better with the Jets' young players anyway. The Jets do have decisions to make on a number of their young players, but, quarterback is the most important. So, oh, man, how sweet would that be to have Sammy back, and then we would just need it to work out, or it would be a disaster.
Yeah, and the elephant in the room, though, is that even when we went to Carolina, they start 3-0, and then he
Yeah.
turns back into what he was with the Jets. And then there was a moment this year, Mike, where I think Minnesota mid-year dropped a game or two, or they even won a game and lost a game, but he
I think they
regressed.
lost back to back. It was the game where he got face masked in the end zone. They
Yep.
didn't call it, and then they lost another difficult game the next week.
And then people said, hey, Sam turned back into a pumpkin. He is what he is. He's showing his true colors. And then he went off on another run where you're like, oh, maybe it is sustainable. And he had a bad week or two and got unlucky. The big thing that you'll get knocked on is he had a bad final 2 games of the year. He was missing open guys in that final week 18 game, and then they lose the playoff game. So that is a factor as well. The other thing that you talked about, it's like, can like, what if it doesn't go well? Like, what if Sam Darnold comes back and they give him a 2-year contract, a lot of upfront money, and the Jets win 6 games? Now every narrative is the Jets get rid of this guy that they brought in to save the team. He has a good year. Then they bring him back and they're terrible again. Like, those optics just seem like it won't happen. Now, would I want it to happen if the Jets don't retain Rodgers? Absolutely. I don't care about that narrative. I care
He's
about winning.
clearly the number one option other than Rodgers. Like the other guy that I would be comfortable with, and I don't. This may be unpopular. Would be Kirk Cousins in terms of 4,000-yard passer. And Matt, the Jets are a very underrated place for a quarterback to come to right now. Very underrated. You have in place 4 very, very good young offensive linemen from left to right: Olu, Simpson, Tittman, AVT. You have at least Garrett Wilson and Brees Hall, if not Devontae Adams and others. So the Jets are a very good situation. So it's not like Sam, the last time he was here, he was throwing to, Jamison Crowder was the number one, who was a nice slot receiver. They had Chris Hogan. Chris Herndon had like 4 catches.
Braxton Berrios.
It was
Josh
a disaster.
Malone.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Oh my God, Josh Malone. Who was the other?
Jehu Chesson.
And they had Vincent Smith, Jeff Smith.
Your running backs are Frank Gore.
Yeah, the corpse of Frank Gore
Michael
and
Ryan and
Trenton
Old
Cannon.
Powell.
Oh,
So yeah, no, there's an element to it where and you brought up Kirk Cousins, which I'm sure we'll talk about if Rodgers decides to retire or they move off him. Like, Cousins' stats not terrible, but then you watch him play and he's clearly impacted by that Achilles injury. And then a lot of people will say, well, you have Tyrod Taylor under contract. And I like Tyrod Taylor a lot as a backup. But what I don't know is, what is your ceiling with Tyrod Taylor? Like,
right.
where could you go? I know if the Jets have everything go right with Rodgers, Darnold, or Cousins, like, they will be if everything goes right with them, they're going to make a playoff team.
For sure.
Like, I don't know if Tyrod Taylor is going to get you that level, even if he has a really good year. And that's not a knock on Tyrod Taylor. I don't know if that
excites
excites
a knock
fans.
on Tyrod Taylor. He's not that good, and that's fine. He's a very good backup. He had a couple years as a starter where he was solid, and he threw for around 3,000 yards, 20 touchdowns, doesn't turn the ball over. He's a good player, but look at like, he's not going to throw for 4,300 yards and 35 touchdowns. And like, Darnold had a good coach, Kevin O'Connell, this past year, but who knows? The Jets are going to use the Lions offense, which turned Jared Goff's career around, and the Jets have the weapons and they have the offensive line. On paper, the Jets have a better offensive line than the Vikings. So it's very intriguing to me, Matt. And I would just hope that the Jets, because again, it's only Woody's the only guy who's still here. It's not the same coaches. It's a different staff. So if you're the staff and you're evaluating the quarterback options out there, and you don't seriously look at Darnold because he used to play for the Jets, that's very frustrating. I even hung up my old Jamal Adams jersey as an ode. Listen, time passes. Things change. Life is too short to. I don't think they're holding a grudge, but it's more of I would hope the Jets aren't scared to bring in a good quarterback because of the past.
And Woody also wasn't even the owner at that time. It was Christopher. But you're right. It's like the one constant would be the Johnson family. But also, if you're Darnold, he's what, 30, 29 now?
I think he's younger than that.
He was probably 21 coming out of college.
He's only 27, Matt. He's going to turn 28. We should know his birthday.
He's a summer birthday. I know that.
It is June 5th.
So he'll be 28 in 2025, right? So you're 28. Does Sam Darnold think that he's going to get the keys to a franchise in the next 2 to 3 years to be like their 10-year starter? Probably not. So if I'm Sam Darnold and he's made money in his NFL career, if the Jets offer him like a 2-year pretty nice contract, you could probably remove yourself from what happened from 2018 to 2020 and be like, I'm going to take a 2-year sick contract. Maybe it works out great. If it doesn't, I'll be a long-term backup again anywhere and be fine. So I don't even know from the Darnold perspective if he'd be fully out on it, because you're right. Not the people that gave up on him are now gone, rightfully so. The other thing though, Mike, is if Rodgers retires and then the Darnold thing, which we've talked about early on, even though we would like it, we don't think it's totally feasible that it will happen. And say Kirk Cousins doesn't come here. Now you're a factor of you have Tyrod Taylor, and then you might draft a quarterback day 2 or 3. It wouldn't surprise me if Muji or Aaron Glenn wanted to bring a guy in early to start learning this offense. And I keep saying the name and people get really upset about it. But if you can get this guy late round 1 and trade back in, or round 2, like to actually have an exciting player on your team is like a Jalen Milroe, Kyle McCord type guy. Like those guys could actually excite a fan base. If you wait until day 3 in the 4th, 5th round and you get a guy, your quarterback room is Tyrod Taylor, Jordan Travis, and a day 3 guy. Like that just doesn't seem feasible. Like it's tough to turn around a team like that.
It's tough. And the Jets have a lot of young players who are getting older and are going to need contracts. But that also bears into the question. So if Rodgers leaves and you have to eat the dead money, and then you're going to pay Sam Darnold, $40 million a year? Now you're paying the quarterback position, $90 million? Like, it's difficult.
Here's one for you. Matt Stafford seems like he wants to keep playing.
Yeah.
And it feels like the Rams are ready to move off him.
Remember when his wife said she was like fucking the other quarterback in college?
That was the craziest quote ever.
Why would she say that? That's all I think about now when I think of Matt Stafford.
So the story goes, Kelly Stafford, like Matt was kind of like a fuck boy in college or whatever, and she like hooked up with, or was like hanging out with his roommate. And he was like, "Why? What are you doing?" And she's like, "You're not taking me seriously." And then they ended up getting married. And then that girl fell off of the stage while taking a photo after the Super Bowl, and Matt Stafford like jogged away, and Kelly ran after him. But here's a weird. So you're Sean McVay, and Sean McVay got like $100 million contract to go announce on Amazon and didn't leave. So if you're hearing Devontae Adams rumors to the Rams, that's like a thing that's been happening. Like, what if the Rams go the route of we're going to get Devontae Adams and we're going to get Sam Darnold? And McVay looks at Sam Darnold like, I'm going to build you as like my young molded 28-year-old quarterback, and we'll have Devontae Adams, and we have a great young defense that they're building there.
And they have Puka and Kyron Williams, yeah.
So the Devontae goes there, and the Jets get Stafford. That is a potential avenue to not return Rodgers. But also Stafford doesn't play in cold weather games a lot. I would take him over Kirk Cousins right now.
Yeah.
But I'm not like that argument still is like, oh, you're doing it again with a veteran quarterback. But you have to do it with a veteran quarterback. You don't have a top 5 pick in a QB draft. Like you have to do something.
You have to do something.
You can't be idle.
No, and listen, those are all good options, Matt. That Matt Stafford's going to be in the Hall of Fame also. So give me a Hall of Fame quarterback with the Jets team, And again, we keep saying it. If you're Aaron Glenn and this new staff, your first year, you don't want to go 5-12 with a young quarterback or 6-11 with Tyrod Taylor. Like, if you make the playoffs with Matt Stafford, or you make the playoffs with Kirk Cousins, or if Rodgers stays and you win 10 or 11 games, that matters. And it matters a lot to this fan base, because everything that happens now is going to be so under the microscope. And this has been going on for years, because as the playoff drought grows, if the Jets don't start fast in any season now, it's going to be insane. It's going to be insane. And the players are probably going to block it out, as long as they have that fortitude. But you're going to be hearing it, and it's going to get ugly quick if things don't go well early. And the Rams have not started well the last couple of years. Not that that's Stafford or what, but they made the playoffs the last 2 years kind of improbably.
Anytime I tweet about the quarterback, Mike, I get it. So you don't trust Jordan Travis? That's like the number one tweet I'll get. But Mike, if you get Tyrod Taylor or Matt Stafford or Kirk Cousins, or you retain Rodgers, or you bring Darnold, even though the Jets had like 1 or 2 games like this, like in Buffalo, where you get like blown out, that's not going to be a weekly occurrence with one of those 5 guys.
Right. You're
Like
going to
they'll give you the chance to win. If you start Jordan Travis, yeah, it might be cool. Like he could maybe be a young quarterback that's good. Like we see a lot of guys. I know you get infatuated with Bo Nix pops off, Jaden Daniels pops off. Like if Jordan Travis starts a game in September for you, like you could lose by 41.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how good your defense is or how good your offensive line and weapons are. That could happen. And I don't think that's going to happen with any of the 5 guys I listed before.
No, and it ruins the whole team. And again, cost is going to be very interesting. You know, teams can move money around. The Jets don't have a ton of cap space, but they don't have none. So it's going to be interesting. Like the Rodgers, it makes the most sense if he stays, if he's going to take a pay cut. But man, I hope we get some news on that this week. This is killing me.
Debo requested a trade.
Who did?
Debo.
What? He the guy seems like a lunatic.
Yeah, I don't. It seemed cool in like 2022. The Debo saga.
There was one he was screaming at the kicker this year. I think it was on the sideline.
It's very funny when they do that, and he has the captain patch on. Like, it's very it's a funny optic.
Leave the kicker alone.
Yeah, I'm with you. I want to see where it lands, so I can now like pivot my, like if the Jets end up having Tyrod Taylor as the starting quarterback, the immediate pivot is you probably need to then like actually do a rebuild, which is scary to say, but you can't.
Right.
Like Garrett will request a trade. Devontae will be gone. You then have to pay Sauce. Like everything gets very weird. But
Sauce is going to be here, I think.
I do.
Sauce
I do believe that.
Cannot stop making great comments. I don't know if you saw what he said yesterday. I think it was yesterday. He said he went to the facility. He met all the coaches. He's fired up. He can't wait to get out there. I just don't feel like this regime coming in is going to do a rebuild. It doesn't feel that way. I don't know.
You just need to get your quarterback figured out and be like, this is our 2 to 3 year plan with that quarterback, and that could be Stafford, could be anybody, but you need to
Darnold, dude. Come on,
you need to plan that. And if you don't plan that, then you're destined for failure. And like we've seen veteran quarterbacks go to a place and truly just win. Like it, the obvious examples are Tom Brady to Tampa, Peyton to Denver. But then you get a Russell Wilson to Pittsburgh, and it does work out really well. And it didn't work out in Denver, but they were fine, and they made the playoffs in Pittsburgh, and they had a good defense, and they won games. You have Stafford going to LA. You have Goff going to Detroit. Like, maybe you can have and just because it didn't work in 2023 because he got hurt, and 2024 was a bad year, it doesn't mean you can't repeat it. Like the Jets' best year in 15 years was having Josh McCown for 5 weeks.
And Fitz.
Yeah, in fact, it can
look
work.
At Gino in Seattle. Look at Darnold in Minnesota. You bring in Darnold. The Vikings were in like cap hell, and then you somehow win 14 games with that team. 14 games, man. They were 14-2. You know, playing for a bye week 18. You know, and obviously 14-3 should get you more than the whatever they were, the 6 seed, so 5 seed.
Yeah.
Man. But so this is good. There's a lot of Hall of Fame quarterbacks out there. There's a lot of veteran, terrific quarterbacks. Maybe the Jets draft a guy. Maybe Jordan Travis plays great in camp, and they're wowed by him, and you go in with him. You know,
you can be your quarterback too. You can't be quarterback 1. I cannot have it, and I'll be on record, and I'll be dead wrong. Hopefully.
No, I agree. And listen, Tyrod is under contract as well, and that's a terrific backup. But it's just not inspiring. They're not going to try to win the Super Bowl with Tyrod Taylor. You can actually literally win the Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers or with Matt Stafford, less or so Kirk Cousins, but the guy can go out there and throw 4,000 yards, and then it makes your team just a real team. You know, Garrett Wilson's going to have 1,300 yards if Kirk Cousins plays. If Tyrod Taylor plays, he's probably going to have around 1,000, maybe like 900 to 1,000. So it just changes the whole dynamic of the team. But Matt, speaking of Hall of Fame quarterbacks, Eli Manning is not one yet.
Yep. And I think this is I would say all the time, we agree on 99% of things. I think we might differ on this one. Give me your Eli take.
I don't think Eli Manning is a Hall of Fame quarterback. And the reason is Eli was maybe a top 10 quarterback for like 2 to 3 years of his career. And that is not a Hall of Fame player. And that's probably why, and Stafford is close. But Stafford has way better counting stats than Eli does, and he has a Super Bowl, so there's that. But Eli was not a dominant player. And that's what a Hall of Fame guy is. So, like, if I'm going into when I'm looking at the next week, whoever the Jets are playing, I'm like, man, that team is a Hall of Fame quarterback. That's not Eli Manning. It just isn't. The dude is a mediocre guy. He had a solid peak. He's a great ambassador for the game. He's an awesome dude. I actually like him, but he had 2 miraculous runs, and other than that, he played 500 football. He led the league in interceptions 3 times. And because list all the quarterbacks that are better than him: Peyton, Brady, Big Ben, Breeze, Rodgers, Rivers, Matt Ryan, Stafford. These are all guys in his era that are all better than him. Romo was better than him. You know, it's just so Donovan McNabb was better than him. The end of Brett Favre was better than him. Everyone was better than him. Why is he a Hall of Famer? Should the 13th running back in football be in the Hall of Fame at his time? No, he should not.
So the argument to even plead your case more is also you're 117 all time. You're a true 500
quarterback. Namath was under 500. We don't talk about that.
The reason and I'm not passionate one way or the other. I wouldn't be like, he has to be a Hall of Famer. He isn't.
I do not hate Eli, by the way, either.
Yeah, and I actually wanted Eli to be on the 2017 Jets, if I recall correctly.
We wanted him in Romo. That's what it was. Instead, they did the Tyrod Taylor thing and went with Josh McCown.
I remember DMing Manish Mehta at that time. I'm like my old personal account. Like, why would they not bring in Romo? And we were arguing about it.
Yeah,
but there's something that the Hall of Fame always has to be a blend between counting stats and accolades. And even counting stats for him, he's like 11th all time in passing yards. And I just love the fact that he played all the time. And that does hurt your interception numbers. That does hurt certain loss counts. But you played through every injury. You played 280 plus whatever straight games. Durable, played for a storied franchise in a weird division where it flips every year. And then not only did he have those 2 runs, he took if he had one of those runs, then you call it a little fluky, and you could be like, yeah, he could be with a bunch of other guys that won 1 ring. But he actually did it twice and beat the best team we've ever seen. And in those games played great. And it's weird, Mike.
He played well, but Matt, he scored 17 points and 21 points. Look at Aaron Rodgers. His 10 playoff losses, the team lets up 33 points a game. So there's a lot of luck into it, honestly. It really is, like the David Tyree thing, and it's a team game, and the Giants just went on a crazy run, and he was good, and he was clutch, but I don't know if David Tyree catching the ball in his stupid helmet should make Eli Manning go into the Hall of Fame.
And the 49ers fumble in the NFC Championship game.
What was his name? Kyle Williams or whatever the guy, the punt returner fumbled twice.
The cool thing about what great quarterbacks will do, and I do think he's a great playoff quarterback, is you have to take advantage of the opportunities that you get in those mistakes.
Philip Rivers never won another game in the playoffs other than those years.
But think about it. Philip Rivers, you brought up, I would rather Philip Rivers in a 17-game season be my quarterback, 100%. Yeah. But he had opportunities in the playoffs, and Briggs went their way. Didn't Philip Rivers.
But to that point, he tore his ACL and played and lost to the Patriots that same year in 2007. Rivers did, and it's just tough. It's obviously fickle. It obviously matters. 2 Super Bowls is not a fluke, but it's the flukiest 2 Super Bowls ever. And again, what if the Patriots scored 45 points in the Super Bowl and he lost?
Yeah, but he also what was the road? Go to Green Bay, win that game. Go to San Francisco, win that. Here's the other argument, Mike.
Yep.
Say Mark Sanchez in 2009 and 10 win those Super Bowls and makes those runs.
He's not a Hall of Famer.
But then he doesn't finish his career 11th in passing yards and is a 500 quarterback. In my head, I'm like, he took all those teams down on the road, played great in those games, 11th in passing yards. I think I would fight for Mark Sanchez to be in the Hall of Fame.
We would. I don't think it's insane for him to be in, especially because of the counting stats. But I just don't think he was a dominant player at all. Man, it's some weird. Yeah, listen, they had some nice wins along the way too. They beat good teams. They did. They beat Rodgers.
Can I tell you a story about the Green Bay game when they won on the road?
Which one? The second one? Because they beat Green Bay both times.
Oh, I think it was 07. I think I was 11.
Yeah.
We were going to our buddy's house to watch that game, My dad was running on the treadmill, and I had like this soccer ball type thing, and I like threw it, and it went on the treadmill. My dad was running, and he like kicked it off to the side. He was like, "Hey, gotta be more careful." And I was like, "Yeah, you're right." I did it again. It went under the treadmill mic. The treadmill popped up, and it came out the front and shot through the plastic, and I broke the treadmill. And he freaked out on me. It was so bad. And then we went to watch the Giants beat the Packers, and I was like upset the entire time that like broke our treadmill. And he was like, "Stop being so mad." Like, it was. I have a weird core memory from that day.
You ruined the conference championship game.
Dude, when the Jets won against the, I think it was the Colts. I think it was the Colts win in 2010. Our coach Ray, picked up our coach Tom and had him in the air, and he's like combined 600 pounds in that scuffle, and they fell back into a wooden table, and the table shattered, and then the TV outlet came from the wall, and the TV fell on the floor. I had it on like a flip phone. I recorded. It was one of the greatest videos ever. I wish I still had it. Just unbelievable memories from that time. It's so fucked up.
It's a different era. It's so long ago. I'll give one more pro Eli argument. I was talking with our buddy Pat, friend of the program. If you took away the last 3 years of Eli's career when he kind of was just, playing out the thread, he's a 108-91 record, and he has 320 picks to 215 interceptions. So a little bit better of a resume in that respect. I don't know. When I think Hall of Fame, I think dominant player, and it's tough when he's really like maybe the 12th guy of his era. Like Joe Flacco. So how about this? This is the other argument. If Joe Flacco, remember the game they lost to the Patriots where, who is that stupid cornerback?
I don't remember his name. Missed a kick?
Billy Cundiff missed a kick in one game. Oh, yeah, it's the same game. So the Ravens had a receiver, Lee Evans, who was a good receiver on the Bills, and then he was old and he played on the Ravens. And he caught a touchdown that would have won the Ravens the game in the playoffs, but it got knocked out of his hands. And then Billy Cundiff missed a kick, if I'm not mistaken. So it was one of those Patriot dynasty teams, and the Ravens would have won that game. I'm trying to find out what it was. I think it was 2011 or maybe 2014. Let's say Joe Flacco wins that other Super Bowl, because he played well enough to win. Is Joe Flacco a Hall of Famer? And Joe Flacco has more playoff wins. He has he's 10-6 in the playoffs. Eli's 8-4. Flacco had arguably the greatest Super Bowl run of all time. Joe Flacco is probably never. He's 105-86 as a quarterback. He has 45,000 yards, almost the exact same stats that I just said about Eli. If you take out those last 3 years, better touchdown, similar touchdown to INT ratio. Is Joe Flacco a Hall of Fame quarterback? And the answer is no. He's just not. He just is not.
It's gonna be interesting when all these guys go. Because think of Matt Ryan. You said it before.
Matt Ryan was the MVP though.
I know, but never won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, and he played well enough to do it. Matt Ryan is the MVP of the league and has all these yards and accolades, and he should be a Hall of Famer. He was a dominant player. The Falcons had dominant years because Matt Ryan was throwing for 4,800 yards and lighting up the league.
It's definitely error-based because we all obviously know that the numbers are different now. The players are different now. But you have guys that won 3 to 4 rings, like Troy Aikman, Terry Bradshaw, that their numbers aren't great, but they won. And now you have guys in the era where all their numbers are great, and some of them won, some didn't. So it's going to be like, how do they handle it?
But also, what about regular season wins? Like Eli didn't win in the regular season. He was 500.
It'd be very much easier for me to discredit Eli if they only did it one time. Like, I know it sounds dumb, but like doing it twice, it's just you did it. It's like very weird.
Argument. I mean, like I'm looking at Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan has 200 more touchdowns than interceptions.
It's crazy.
381 touchdowns, and he's MVP, and he's 15 games over 500. And he did enough to win. In his Super Bowl run, the Falcons that year, Matt Ryan threw 9 touchdowns and no picks, and he threw for 338 yards a game. So should he not make the Hall of Fame because David Tyree caught a fucking pass on his head? I don't know. It frustrates me.
I wish I knew the answer.
One is, I think the Flacco one is the best argument against Eli.
Yeah, it's tough. It's gonna be very. I don't know. He didn't get in. It sounds like he wasn't close. And maybe they want to make a rule where it's like the first ballot's going to mean a lot more if you're a dominant player. You come in,
That
and
should
then
mean something. That makes sense.
and then maybe you're a fourth guy come in, and it proves that you're great. And you. It's cliche. You can't write the history books without like it's. I'm happy they did it, and it's weird because I go back and forth on this, Mike.
Yeah.
Where it's like would it have mattered if the Giants or if the Patriots won 9, or if Brady won 9, Patriots won 8, and we'd never had our dumb Giant friends be happy.
I'd much rather that have happened. No way. Yeah, for sure. I'd much rather the Patriots have won both those Super Bowls. And Brady's also very lucky. He has bullshit wins. The Tuck Rule game, the fucking Seahawks game where they intercept on the 1 yard line. So I'd much rather Tom Brady have 9 Super Bowl. Who gives a shit? He's already sickening.
That's the argument. It's like, what does it matter anymore?
Not even close. And Eli would be a mediocre, whatever quarterback who the Giants fans like. They actually probably would shit on him, the Giants fans, because they're so stupid.
They did for all, like, it's crazy. We would have defended him forever.
Yeah.
If he did that for us. And it was so frustrating in middle school. You walk around and like the playoffs coming out, everyone's wearing a blue Eli jersey from China. And you're like, where was that all year? All he did was talk about how dumb and ugly his face is, and now he's winning games for you on the road in January.
Ungrateful.
What do you think about Allen and Lamar Jackson MVP?
Oh, it's tough. This year is very close. The award should not work like this. I think Tony Romo said it too. It's just Lamar should not have 3 and Allen should have 0. I think Lamar should have won this year. He had a better year. But it shouldn't be 3-0 because they've been very similar, great players. But it's sickening. I wish Josh Allen had none. I hope the worst for him.
It's funny because I've been saying it forever. If I'm at a bar with Josh Allen having a beer playing golf, probably a great guy. I hate the flopping. That's the part that really does bother me. But like, I think you're a bad person if you're flopping every game. But
the Bills are just sickening, Matt. They're sickening. The fans are obnoxious. The players, Deion Dawkins, I actually hope the worst for him. I really do. Seriously, truly do. That is a disgusting group of people. And I have nothing but bad, horrible things to say about them. And listen, honestly, Josh Allen's numbers this year weren't as impressive as I thought they were going to be. You know, watching, because eye test, he was MVP level this year. And he threw for like 3,700 yards. I think Rodgers threw for more yards than him. Fucking loser. And Lamar probably should have won this year. Lamar had, I think, did he have the greatest passing season of all time statistically?
Dude, I don't know how many picks he ended with, 3 or 4, but I had the video I tweeted out where 3 of them were all like tip passes. Like he actually he could have like 41.
He ended up 41 touchdowns and 4 interceptions with a 119.6 QB rating. He was first team All Pro and did not win MVP, which makes no sense because Josh Allen is in the same conference as him. I mean, I get it. Again, like you look at the last 3 years, and it's funny because Lamar's last year is not even close to this year, and he won. Man, I don't know how did the Ravens only win 12 games? Only in quotation marks. Everyone had an insane year. Derrick Henry setting records, Lamar. I don't know, man. That's got to be frustrating. That's the crazy thing too, Matt. Like if everything goes right for us.
The Ravens started 0-2.
They started 0-2. My friends text me, "Oh, season's over." I said, "Literally, shut up. I'm gonna send him this clip, Dennis." Like, shut the fuck up. But it's just so scary, man. Because if everything goes right, and the Jets keep Rodgers, or they have Sam, and they win 12 games next year, and we're fired up, and then you just have to somehow win the Super Bowl. It's so random and crazy, and there's so many things that could happen, and it's just so like look at the Ravens, man. Look at Lamar Jackson. Mark Andrews just drops the ball. Oh, and that's why I don't love. And obviously, winning the Super Bowl is the pinnacle of the sport, but it's hard to put it all on one guy. And if the guy's career is not dominant, that's my argument against Eli. Like things happen, random shit, but he won too. So
got to take advantage of it, man. Like there are so many opportunities the Jets could have taken advantage this past year, and those like great quarterbacks do it. And like I actually think what the Chiefs whistle thing, I'm probably in the vast minority where it's like, yes, they might get a call or 2 per game that is backbreaking, changes everything. But like I don't know, I watched the Bills play; they get a ton of calls too. Like,
Yeah.
how many roughing the passer can the Bills get? I have no love lost for the Bills, and it's still great. People will still tweet at me like, you really want, like, the one guy who I really went at sent me the video of Josh Allen with like the getting the MVP, and all the kids from the Buffalo hospital gave
Yeah.
him like a very nice message. He's like, "Oh, you still want like the Chiefs to beat this team?" I said, "Yeah, by 50, by 50." And it's funny, my fiance saw that video and she's like, "That's so nice that Josh Allen does that." And I was like, "Yeah, every quarterback does that." I was like, I was like trying to find a way, like, belittle him. It was very nice that he obviously is a great guy. He does seem like a great guy. I
I'm
like him
looking
way
at the
more than I
stats.
did Mac
I don't
Jones.
know. Yeah, he's cool, but I don't know how he won the MVP. Lamar Jackson had 400 more rushing yards, more passing yards, 13 more passing touchdowns. He had like 8 less rushing touchdowns, and he was rated like 18 points higher than him in QB rating. And they won one more game. So
One
this
thing
it's just it's a makeup call.
dude, you'll get the like, he has Lamar has Derrick Henry. And in my head, I'm like, that actually will hurt his. I know you have like
Yeah, yeah.
the optics of like a run game where you can pass better because of it. But in my head, I'm like, his numbers could have been like way better if they had Justice Hill.
Yeah, and what's his
And like
face?
his counting numbers, like, he would probably throw more picks. But
Right. But what's his face was great too. James Cook had 16 touchdowns.
and
Man,
then you'll hear a thing too where it's like Josh did the same, maybe a little less with less. But Mike, did you go into the year and say Zay Flowers is like a number one receiver?
no, it's just Henry. That's it. It's just Henry. The only
Mark Andrews had 55 and 600.
yeah.
Like,
I'm just happy. I am happy that um Stephon Diggs left and then Allen won because fuck that guy. The NFL wide receivers need to be put in a lab and studied because they're all disturbed. They're sick. Every guy just becomes nuts. What is wrong with these people? Just go play football.
I'm
Debo,
with you. But if
it's
if
sick.
you're Stephon Diggs and you're playing in Buffalo with New York State taxes, and you're like, maybe you and Josh Allen don't have a great chemistry. Like, I'm just gonna go to Texas, play with in a dome. Like, he just,
I
and he
get
didn't
it.
care.
I
He
get it.
doesn't care
There's
about.
ways to do things, Matt. There's ways to go about doing things, and
Yeah,
it's just constant fighting, complaining, yada yada yada. Like even if Garrett Wilson requests a trade, which would be very very sickening, he didn't do that this year. Like he didn't act like a maniac.
you're right.
So you have
I
to just
hope
be a
he
real
does.
person. Like I don't know.
I'm about to go to an open house, and I feel like garbage. I'm about to go to
Yeah,
like my 100th open house, and we're not gonna buy it.
you're gonna buy it, dude. Just buy
Very
it.
good video. We covered Darnold. We
Yep.
covered Hall of Fame. Covered the Super Bowl. Who do you want to win?
Both teams are just sickening. The Chiefs, I didn't hate as much until last year when the Jets played them in week 4. Was it week 5? It was it was either the first or second game after Travis Kelce started dating Taylor Swift. Rodgers obviously is hurt. The Jets go. It's at home in New York. It's 20-20 in the fourth quarter. The announcers are like, Travis Kelce gained 600,000 Instagram followers. We're like, I literally don't give a fuck. And then the Chiefs got the benefit of disgusting officiating.
Zach's
Disgusting.
best game.
Zach's best game by far. Maybe
By
that
far.
or the Texans game.
I'd rather Zach that game.
He was terrific. The Chiefs had the ball on the Jets like 48-yard line with 8 minutes left. Threw an interception, but the Jets never got the ball back, which is impossible. Impossible.
I am putting a large wager on Philadelphia.
Oh, I am going to bet on the Eagles too. And I told one more story. I told one of my I keep telling my friends who are Eagles fans, I'm like, betting on the Eagles, like go Birds. They're like, fuck the Jets. The Jets suck. I'm like, why would you say that? What's wrong with you?
You're
They're
being
sick.
nice.
They're insane. They're literally insane. The dumbest fan group ever. Oh,
I'm betting on Philadelphia. 1, because I do think they're going to win.
yes.
2, if they win, I win a lot of money. If they lose, I don't know any Chief fans. They are just in the middle of the country doing whatever. And it'd be kind of nice because I have Eagles friends that I like. There's a lot of people that I know that are Eagles fans I do not like.
Sickening.
And I don't want them to be happy.
No, I hope they're for their own sadness. I will say there's less random Chiefs fans around than you would think.
If you were to give me be like, you get no money, nothing happens, like who's gonna win, I'd just pick the Chiefs to win. I don't care. Like, I don't want to be around people.
Yeah.
I have one very good friend who's an Eagles fan that I hope he knows who he is. Dylan Donahue driving the wrong way in the Lincoln Tunnel. I hope they win for him, but I don't want them to win for other people.
Yeah, my buddy Connor is a good fan, but even he'll say annoying things. Yeah, like I cannot believe it. I'm at work. My buddy AJ, I'm like, taking the Eagles, go Birds. He's like, Aaron Rodgers sucks. I'm like, you're a psychopath.
He's deranged. I mean, you
Like, dude,
can't.
you need to go to the mental institution.
But that's how they like. I have a great video of my college roommate talking to a kid that we were friends with who was like a fake Eagles fan. He's like from that area and was like, I love the Eagles. Couldn't name a player on the team. And my buddy's like, you guys are eating shit. You can't even like win normally. Like, you guys don't deserve anything. Like, they were fighting like in my room in college. But I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I think I'm gonna bet the Eagles. My favorite bet ever. You probably didn't make it this far, but if you did, 2.5 passers, the greatest bet you can ever have with a group of people. I put 250 to win 800 on it. It's plus 250 this year.
Wow.
And I put it, I tweeted out, it went down to plus 180. So I think I moved the line.
Changing the world. One $250 bet at a time.
Did I tell you that I was at my niece's birthday yesterday and one of the uncles was asking me, like, I know you're a bettor. And I told him about the bet. And then Ryan came over to me. He goes, Uncle Michael just put $1,000 on 2.5 passers. Like, I'm like, no, he didn't. He's like, he did. I'm like, no, please don't let that happen. And he came over to me. He's like an Italian guy in like a suit. And he's like, you better not fuck this up, Matt. I was like, oh my God.
You're calling plays at the Super Bowl?
Because the Eagles don't do trick plays. Like, that's not a thing. Like, it needs to be a Chiefs or an injury to hit that bet this year.
Saquon's going to throw it.
That'd be cool.
It's going to be fun. I mean, listen, get to watch football for one more time. And then we got, a couple weeks off and then the Combine?
Yeah.
Man, one day, man, we're gonna be doing this. Again, I'm not going to the game if the Jets are in the Super Bowl. If the Jets play in the AFC Championship game, I'll definitely go if it's at home.
Definitely.
But we got to lock ourselves down.
No way.
We're gonna bunker down. We're gonna pick 5
What if
or
it was
6
at MetLife?
If it was at MetLife, I would think about it.
I would too.
Because then it would be like a home game.
And you would go home, and you'd be home at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m., and you wouldn't.
Unless they won, I would never go home. I don't know what I would do. I kind of don't want them to win. Then what do we have to look forward to? What if they win and that's it? Then we're like, all right, like, what do we do now with our lives?
That's what I think about a team like the Rams. Like, they won. Like,
They
now
won.
do you like what do you do? What happens now? Like Tampa Bay. Like, what?
They won.
Like, you did it.
It's like the dog chasing the mail truck and then you catch it. Like, what do you do? I hope we fucking lose.
Dude, it's so funny. Last night I was sick and I was going through like all old. I was like looking at like the 1964 Jets. They started like 5-1, but they went 0-7 on the road, and like how they couldn't play any home games in September because the Mets. Like, there were so many weird things that happened with the early Jet teams that were hilarious. They were like a lonely team just looking to play a home game somewhere. They had the Polo Grounds early on. Then they had Shea. They couldn't play there in September because the Mets, so they had to play every game on the road to start the year. They would always start bad.
Right.
Oh,
it's interesting.
right.
Wait, I think there's some. Oh no. Oh boy.
What happened?
I think we got some Rodgers news, and I don't think it's good, Matt.
What do you mean?
Jordan Scholes, while we were doing this, tweeted out, sources, while further discussions are expected, the overwhelming belief is that the Jets are unlikely to move forward with Rodgers as their quarterback in 2025. With a new regime in place, many anticipate a fresh start and a resolution is expected sooner than later. Oh. What are they doing, Matt? Oh, man.
They better be right. They better be right. In 2020, they didn't do what we wanted to do. We were sad, but we moved on and we powered through. We tried to be good fans, and 5 years later, we were right. They were wrong. Hopefully.
Oh man, why does it have to be a tweet? Oh man, I mean, you just hope that it's like Rodgers saying he doesn't want to do it, because if it's the Jets, it's just the wrong move, Matt. We've been through all the options. Oh, that's such a kick in the dick, dude. You know, like we have all these. You imagine like looking at the schedule next year with Rodgers and Devontae and Garrett and Brees, and now we get to look back at this 2 year stretch of just torn Achilles and then 5-12. It's not right, and he played well at the end of the year. You know, it's just not the right move.
They have to have a plan. They can't go into it without a plan. Like they have to have a handshake agreement for a Stafford. For hey, we're gonna get Darnold, and we know it. Like you need a plan. You can't. I don't care. I want a decision to be made, but you can wait until March so you can actually have a plan.
I just
God
don't
damn
get
it.
it. I just don't get it, Matt. Yeah, we got to see what they're gonna do, but after 14, 15 years of no playoffs, you want the thing that you want to happen.
What's one more year?
What's one more year? What is one more year with a Hall of Fame guy who played really well down the stretch, who's going to be another year removed from an Achilles? I just don't get it, Matt.
I feel like we should make another video only about.
Let's do it. Let's end this and do it.
All right. See you, buddy.